Ding dong. The ellipses raise themselves up and into the form of a ramp. The ocean is only a direction defined by destiny to persevere to a single locking than avoid perception as its beams compute beneath the surface. Its outcomes and equations are altered by the natural industry that exists in the world above. I have attained entry to the interior of the landmass. A variety of functionless buildings stretch across the horizon, occupying no space in my mental landscape. This efficient system understands that redundancy is a requirement in the creation of a whole. The descent is forming into a chute via a naturally occurring industrial process. A ball roams down it and into the formless sea. It roams the surface for several minutes before raising its aerial and sinking downwards. Once it's left the shore, it's passed into a realm that we are unable to enter, only view through the barriers. I hear maintenance functions transposing beneath my feet. We shall no longer see the liquid expanse, but the quota of viewing has been fulfilled. I am the preserver in this calculated landscape. Now the promenade begins. It exists a variety of colourful arrangements intended solely for my aesthetic approval. It consists of a variety of colourful arrangements intended solely for my aesthetic approval. It exists of a variety of colourful arrangements intended solely for my aesthetic approval. It consists of a variety of colourful arrangements intended solely for my aesthetic approval. It exists of a variety of colourful arrangements intended solely for my aesthetic approval. It consists of a variety of colourful arrangements intended solely for my aesthetic approval. Miles above me, a great rushing sounds in the air as the tanks begin to drain. The ocean I viewed earlier is being topped up.
Certain men are causing problems in my certain proximity. There is a certain procedure for narrative divorce, and I never follow it. Undone workers are passing overhead. They are my certain shadow that will demand back pay, but I am being cloned for the future, and that master will make false currency. I would love to enjoy an age when I could control my passions, but that isn't about the dawn when I saw the balloons in the air, and the fair towers sitting on the distant hills, like an article of your fantasy.
The trapdoor opened for my morning greetings, and an academic cat with glasses peeked through and brought out my coffee. He was smiling all the while despite his underemployed status. I decided it best to avoid suspicion, as minor disharmonies could prove a major distraction to my important work. Kicking motes of dust away from the foot of the bed, it had been some time since I had last awoken. I searched out my shoes and coat, then turned my attention to the umbrella, which I had programmed to phase about the room during my period of rest, in order to safeguard my most treasured possessions. A thrum of orange light filled the dim room as I turned the key to the control box and the mechanism wound down. The rush of air caused a great deal of dust to swirl around the floor, and it occurred to me that since my term of service had been extended, it would be wise to engage a cleaning service so well as the morning greeting. Now it had finally phased back into normal vision, I walked to the umbrella stand and took down the control reins for my descent sled. I shook my shoulders about a bit, then reached for the doors of the balcony. As I walked out, I could feel the fresh draft of the air that was being pumped into the top of the underground dome. I unlatched my sled from the bottom of its descent cradle, then went back inside to fetch my crate of gardening materials. After they were securely strapped in, I took my binoculars and looked towards the control tower to ensure that they were not flying any flags of disruption. Finding all to be well, I sat myself down in front of the controls and prepared to pull the release lever once the wire confirmed that several clicks of the dividing teeth had gone by. Due to my high status, I enjoyed special privileges when it came to being able to depart off schedule. Rapid combinations, destroying all of the love when there existed a surplus. The supplies failed in storage, and their features turned to static and discarded. That was my writ of promotion. Now I'm under the freeway bridges, trying to advertise to the lowest reaches. A phantom of lights is forming into slogans, and pouring down into empty spaces. Cascades of liberty are mine for a nominal fee. Beware of those reducing paragons. In former ages, the dragons possessed great power, but I watched them writhe away as they were reduced to components and rebuilt by the new regime. As an entry-level product, I found myself fabricated and unable to expand. My basic core composed of generic components, intended for a limited lifespan of mass production. The Christmas lights are over the avenue and are leaking down in beams. I see their luminous liquid falling onto the parade and flowing down the grills as a discarded syrup, migrating down to the proposed underworld that has entered the public consciousness via comic skits performed on popular broadcasts. It was the work of the dead. They operated as spiritual shadows, but the indignity began to stain their memorials, so that no processing mechanism could suffer the drudgery. Then even the cogs rebelled, and the sunlight screamed silence, the sounds of the day being absorbed by solar beams. I went down to the denser particles to find the absorption of sounds, but what happened there should not be known.
It ought to be so simple. There are certain people, they do not have daytime visions. They do not like anything at all. Their ejection would be fairly simple. I'm sure that you know the end. I cannot be in the ejection at this stage of all of those certain people. They have been passed by the assessor and had their chance. There are so many individuals who deserve to rise upon high, but I like to hang around all the ancient trade yards who try to protect when they get devalued by the end of the age. I admire how men are still fighting 40 years later. There are certain things that we should wake up early for. I love how I am trapped. There are so many males who release their desires for freedom. It is my observation they cannot absolve. How many must there be in this part of the country? Never absolve for my sake. It is too diminutive, and it should not be released. So many details, and we've reached our 10th ejection in the fantasy of the universe that cannot survive in its stated pitch. It is nothing but a dream.
Crawling borders into slots according to opinion. Yellow Palisades passing into precipices of peaks and meaning. Frosted over by the ability to edit and ignore. The caverns were the container, sealed off by my grill style. It used to flow, the waste held up by gravity and passed up by lifting Pacifics. Here is Is that just you and your visions of profound cities where all of iconic vehicles burn on every block? Every counter sends out a beam into the heaven-wide fortress of hope, wishing it to diffuse into the horizon of all I hoped for, and I find myself disappointed. Tunnel trains use your third main to siphon the fuel that they require, but you don't object because the clouds are nostalgic, and that in the tones that world as a zone that can support life. The survivors live in tunnels and fight the external creatures that would interrupt the reassessment of their spire. Have a pickup partisans been blown over the sands? My hands melt so that they can manipulate the silicon via the merger. I laugh in the face of those who wish to retain remote past. I am the romantic who would cut off the high frequencies and make all things sepia toned. Just like the man, I know I am. However, in this era, I see you in the growing patch, admiring up until the sun spreads its ripeness, bringing about the flowers that will feed us for the coming season. I see you're one of the beetles who flows over the material mountains. Did they really have the opportunity of issuing that shade? So far as I know, it is not appropriate to display beside the hillside where our furnishings might grow. It's more like a slide, and I assure you it's on our side, so long as it does not disrupt our looking out upon the valleys. There are so many firearms in our lorry, and all the points we are being illegal, but since we have permits, then I suppose we might watch by and see the shells strike the palm tree. The canvas rolls back, and the artillery unites the destruction of the sides. This is all we require. To ascend, but never bend. I'm sure you know the strains, and it was the thing you should never do, and I admire you, because you encountered the simulation district and refrained from advancing.
Telepresence persons keep appearing amongst my kitchen appliances and causing a cacophony. They are being broadcast through disused frequencies, repurposed to transmit modern holographs in a diminished form. I block it all off and see the static ponds where the tarnished figures who would have been placed amongst my breakfast things. I will not have my day ruined by pranksters who are hijacking those sections of the airwaves that the wider authorities no longer care for, but which can nonetheless still be easily received by the great majority who make use of slightly outdated equipment. This could be my turn of sideways. How can you be the exit manager coming around and standing on the surface of aircraft carriers, then leaving in silence a few minutes later to attend the tea shop on the shoreline that is 50 miles away? Nobody knows how you do it or how you get there, but it should be explained in a way that is suitable for the muted hues of old television programming. I'm clamping onto canisters so that they can be discarded. That is what we're doing today, and there is no room for a change in the schedule. Now coming round to starboard, there is a lot of standardization going on in this part of town. I'm getting out of this corpse right now.